Social media and the fitness industry. Let's talk about maybe like truth or the reality of the fitness industry on social media. How about that? What inspired me to make this is that I'm not going to out people by name. So that's first off. I'm not going to do that. And some of these people I'm actually even friends with. So because I know them in real life. A lot of the messaging that you see on social media, people tell you to do this, or they say that they do this thing over here, and then you meet those people in real life and they don't do those things at all. So, this isn't new though. I'm sure all of you, actually, I take that back. So I'm old. Never mind. No, I'm not sure that all of you know this. But way back in the day, the muscle magazines, all these bodybuilders, they're all drug-free. They just take Celtec. And that was the claim back in the day. I realize that now, due to social media, drug use has been normalized. Everyone talks about it. Everyone talks about their cycles, and people are very open about it, okay? But when I was growing up, no one talked about it. No one talked about it at all, and all the pro bodybuilders claimed that they were drug-free. If you don't remember this, Arnold was drug-free. In fact, in 1999, he successfully sued someone for defamation because they accused him of using steroids. Look it up. It doesn't matter who it was. Suddenly I'm blanking on names, and Ronnie Coleman's the only one that pops in my head. But there were various guys that were featured in these different muscle magazines, and they were featured with different products like Celtec. There was this guy, man, he had the best abs I've ever seen. Like, they looked like they were just chiseled out of granite, and I should be able to remember his name. I'm sure I'll remember his name an hour after this. And I remember that, like, the supplement he was taking it had some stupid name, like lipo something or other. And it was like, yeah, right. Like, now we know better. These guys are using something other than just a caffeine pill with a whole bunch of green tea and shit added to it, right? But that's the way that things used to be. No one talked about it. In fact, I've talked about this before. People made fun of me on Instagram because I said that no one's ever offered me steroids. Ever. I've never had someone try to sell me steroids. It's never happened. And the thing at the gym whenever I was growing up, okay, this is different. You didn't just take mommy's credit card and go buy something because you started lifting weights, from some market website on whatever. This whole bullshit about like SARMs and stuff like that, okay? That didn't happen in my day. In my day, it was more like this. You went to the gym and you lifted really heavy weights. And if you continued going there for years, okay, and eventually you're doing, 405 for 10 sets of 10, then maybe one of the really big jack guys at the gym will start talking to you and he'll befriend you. And then he would tell you about his source, and, that's how people got into it. Okay, somebody who has been in the game for a long time recognizes that, hey, this isn't just some dude who's going to come and work out so he gets abs for the summer. This is someone who's committed to this. And then he kind of like welcomes you into the club. All right. That never happened for me. That never ever happened because I wasn't a bodybuilder. I wasn't a power lifter. I went to the gym and I lifted weights so I could be better at hockey. Okay. So I never fit in with that crowd of the really big powerlifter guys. And I have been to some gyms where there were really big, crazy, strong powerlifter guys. Nobody ever said a word to me, okay? It no longer exists, so I will go ahead and say it. The Allegheny Athletic Club, that's out in the Pittsburgh area. There were a lot of really big bodybuilders there. Now, I'm not going to drop their names, but you can probably guess some of the bodybuilders there. And those guys were definitely on steroids, but you know what? No one ever said a word to me. I was unaware of it. I was completely blind to all of it because no one ever talked to me about it. So that's how it used to be. Now, due to social media, everyone's talking about it openly. But this is the part that I'm coming around to. Even today, it's the same game. Oh, I don't take steroids, it's just Celtec. Like that kind of analogy. Yeah, so someone I know personally, and they have told me all the different things that they're taking, made a post about how they're drug-free. I don't like it. I'm not going to out them. I just don't like it. Okay? I genuinely don't care if you are or not using them. Just don't fucking lie about it. That's my position. That's been my position all along. You guys know I love people like Stan Efferding. I think Dave Tate is great. I don't care that they take things or took things. Okay, I think John Hack is going to be one of the greatest powerlifters of all time if he can stay healthy. I love watching Shane Hunt deadlift. I don't have any problem with these people. It's not like I'm like, oh, that guy's a juice head, so oh, he's stupid. But you will never hear me make a comment like that. It's not going to happen. I respect those individuals for what they're doing. And as I've said before in the past, as far as I'm concerned, okay, the drug-free tested powerlifting is a different sport than the untested powerlifting. That's all. It's no different than comparing raw powerlifting to geared powerlifting. Yeah, you squat in a squat suit, or you use a bench press shirt or whatever. That's a different sport than raw powerlifting. That's how I feel about it. And so I wish that people wouldn't compete in, tested powerlifting and do things to pass the tests. But unfortunately, that's exactly what people are doing. So why not just be honest and go compete in the untested federations? I don't know. But this is just one example of many. I've had many people tell me about what they're taking. And it isn't just steroids. Guys are using all kinds of other stimulants and compounds. They're using thyroid hormone. They're using growth hormone, all these other things like that. Guys will admit that to me. And then they go and post about how they're drug-free. Okay, that's just one example. Let's move on to the next one. And minimalist training. You'll see people out there who are marketing themselves and pitching, this is my minimalist training program, just 20 minutes of blah, 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 blah. And then you meet these people, and that's not how they train. I don't ever claim that my programs are minimalist. I don't train minimalist. I don't do minimalist programs for myself. I will say that oftentimes I have very short workouts relative to the amount of volume that you might see that I'm doing. And as I have explained to people in the past, it's because I'm using escalating density. So you have 1 hour to get as much work done as you possibly can. That's not necessarily low volume. It may be a time-restricted workout. Yes, you have 1 hour to do as much as you possibly can. But I'm doing, supersets back and forth. Like the other day, I decided to absolutely just see how many reps I could get done possible. And so I did, sets of 8 in the front squat and sets of 10 in the trap bar deadlift. And I just put 135 on both bars. So 135 front squat, 135 trap bar deadlift. And I just went back and forth. That's a lot of work. That's not low volume. That's not minimalist training. That's a lot of volume in a short amount of time. Okay? For those of you, I'll throw it out there. There's a Blitz Power program. If you just Google search that, you will find it. It's on Professional Soldier. That is a very hard program. Just because it doesn't take a lot of time doesn't necessarily mean that it's minimalist training, because you're going to do a lot of volume in a short amount of time. CrossFit is not minimalist training. Okay? You're going to do a lot of volume in a short amount of time. Murph, that is not a minimalist workout, but you can get that done under an hour. Cindy, 5 pull-ups, 10 push-ups, 15 air squats. Yeah, as many rounds as possible in 20 minutes. I think my record on that was something like 42 rounds. That's a lot of volume. So yes, it only takes 20 minutes, but that's a ton of volume, okay? Anyways, the point being, there are people out there claiming that they do minimalist programs, and it's true that they do the minimalist workout that they list. Like, oh yeah, all I do is come in and I squat, 3 sets of 5, Yeah, they did that part. What they left out was the fact that then they go do, bicep curls and tricep push downs and leg extensions and hamstring curls and, side raises, lateral raises, whatever you want to call them. Like they're doing all this other stuff with it. A lot of these guys that talk about their powerlifting program, this is what I do. I do, one hard set of deadlift. I work up to a heavy double, and then I drop and do 6 sets of 3 at 60%. They do that. And then they go do a whole bunch of other stuff that they don't talk about. I've discussed this in the past. I walk a lot. We walk the dog 2 or 3 times a day. I didn't even realize this. I actually sat down and tried to figure it out once because I was like, well, it's hard to gauge how far I'm walking because we start and stop a lot. The dog likes to smell things and pee on things, and we stop and talk to neighbors and all this stuff like that. And I finally sat down and just figured out, like, that's 4 to 6 miles a day of walking. It's a lot of walking. If you think about it, that's a lot of energy expenditure if you just start thinking about how much you're walking, okay? I'm out running errands. I'm on my feet. When I'm coaching, I'm walking around the gym. There's a lot of non-exercise energy expenditure that occurs. How many people are doing that? A lot of people have desk jobs. Okay? So I don't try to paint mine as if I sit at a desk for 8 hours a day. I don't. But some people are out there telling you they do minimalist programming. Here, just do this 20-minute workout and that's all it is. But then you beat them and then you find out that they're not doing anything like that. Or people will tell you, oh, I do flexible dieting. I have ice cream every day. And then you meet these people, and that is not what they do at all. They eat nothing but chicken breast and rice. In fact, a lot of the diet stuff is really bizarre. I don't know why people... I don't understand what the motive is for lying about your diet. I don't want to say that I'm proud of the fact that I don't have cheat meals. It's just that I don't have cheat meals. I just don't do it. The last time I had a, quote, cheat meal, I had a sandwich with my dad. My dad was in hospice care. He had lymphoma, and his lymphoma just metastasized everywhere. So he ended up with throat cancer, head and neck cancer. It metastasized into his lungs. It metastasized into his brain. He lost his eyesight. His lymphoma just spread everywhere, right? And so my dad's in hospice care, and we sat down and had a sandwich together. Anyways, that was January 2021. That's the last time I had a, quote, cheat meal, something off of my regular intake, okay? And I'm very open with people. I eat a lot of meat. I eat at least 3 pounds of meat a day. I eat one of those giant tubs of yogurt every day. Greek yogurt, like the 32-ounce tub. I eat a whole 32-ounce tub every day, plus 3 pounds of meat, okay? That's my protein intake. But on top of that, I eat probably 2 pounds of vegetables easily. And I eat apples and oranges and kiwi fruit and bananas every day. Not a day goes by where I don't eat at least 4 apples. I'm always eating at least 2 bananas. I eat the frozen blueberries and frozen strawberries every day. That, to me, that's dessert. I finish my meal. My wife and I are sitting down at night. I finish dinner, and I'm like, hey, I'm going to have some frozen blueberries and frozen strawberries. They're delicious. I don't understand people that are like, oh, I need to have, I don't know, whatever junk food you want. Fruit is amazing. Fruit is dessert as far as I'm concerned. Anyways, I'm very open about this. Other people are out there telling you, oh, I do flexible dieting, and I eat ice cream every day, and I have cookies, and and they don't. They don't. I know Instagram influencers who take pictures of food that they don't actually eat. Here's a picture of a pizza, and they don't actually eat that pizza. Why? What is the motive there? I have no idea. I can't explain that to you. It doesn't make sense to me. I will never sit here and tell you that I eat junk food. That's not how I am so weird that I don't know. I don't know how to explain this to you. Like Thanksgiving dinner, I just load up on the turkey and the potatoes. Like I don't have the pumpkin pie and all that shit like that. I don't want it. It's not that I'm depriving myself. I don't want it. I don't like how I feel when I eat those things. I get sick. Oreos. Man, I love Oreos. I ate Oreos all the time as a kid growing up. The last time I had Oreos, I'm going to tell you, probably 2019, and I got sick. And I was like, nope, not going to eat those ever again. Okay? Because it made me so sick. My joints swelled up, and I had, too much information. I had diarrhea. I don't want to eat those ever again. All right? I don't like eating foods that make me sick. That's why I eat the way I eat. Okay? But like I said, there are fit pros out there telling you that they do flexible dieting. You can include all this junk food in your diet, and they don't actually do it themselves. If anything, my diet is basically like a paleo diet plus Greek yogurt and cheese. I eat a lot of cheese. But I don't even think about it. I just sprinkle shredded cheese on everything. So you're having ground beef, put some shredded cheddar on it. You're having, whatever, put some shredded mozzarella on salmon. It's fantastic. Stuff like that, okay? So it's like a paleo diet plus dairy. I don't understand people who put out information that I don't understand it, actually. I really don't. And here I am, I keep saying I don't understand. I really don't understand. I don't understand the motive behind telling people that I only work out 20 minutes 3 times a week and, I eat all this junk food and do flexible dieting. And it's like, that's not what they're doing, though. Is that just a marketing ploy? Is this to make people buy into something? I have no idea. But like I said, it's no different than really what was happening in the 90s, where all these bodybuilders were like, yeah, I'm drug-free. It's just Celtec. So things really haven't changed much. It's just like how everyone claims that they're drug-free, and then they're using all kinds of drugs. I don't get it. It won't ever make sense to me, but whatever. So that's the reality of what you're seeing. And people Photoshop their pictures, okay? You guys know what I look like because I post videos. I don't have the time or the intelligence. I'm sure there's some way to Photoshop a video. I probably is. But you know what I look like because you see my videos. I don't Photoshop videos. I can't imagine sitting there Photoshopping every frame, but whatever. I look how I look. I don't look like a cover model. I don't look like a fitness model. I have a big, wide, thick waist from lifting heavy weights. I don't pretend like I have a small waist. I don't. I'm not aesthetic. People message me to tell me that I'm not aesthetic, and I'm like, well, thank you. I'm not a model. So there's a lot of marketing, and there's a lot of smoke and mirrors. Yeah, actually, that's probably something to bring up here. Randy Rhoads, Smoke and Mirrors. Look up that book. Go read it. It'll make more sense to you. A lot of this is selling people promises that just don't pan out. You can't work out 20 minutes 3 times a week and eat junk food and expect yourself to look like, I don't know, Greg Plitt or something. Rest in peace. You're not going to look like Mike O'Hearn, training minimally and eating junk food. It's just not going to happen. And you're not going to get huge and jacked, by doing intermittent fasting or some shit. These people out there, they talk about how little they train and, what they eat and stuff like that, and it's nothing like what they do. Same thing for the drugs. People don't admit to whatever they're using. And that's not a big deal if you think about it in terms of does it really matter what someone else is doing? No, because you can't copy them and look the same. Like if I did the exact same thing took the same drugs, ate the same food, and did the same training as Jay Cutler, I still wouldn't look like Jay Cutler. So you shouldn't copy Jay Cutler anyways. But the trouble is that a lot of these people are selling programs, they're selling diets, they're selling whatever, and they're not being honest about what they do. And then people buy into that thinking they can do the same thing and somehow get results. And, well, that's just not the way it is. And so here's the reality. Everyone who looks and performs and does well, they're all basically doing the same thing. Look at pro bodybuilders. They're all doing high volume training. They're all eating meat and rice for the majority of their meals. And they're all running basically the same compounds. And I'm not going to be an expert on that. I'm just going to refer you over to Paul Barnett. Go listen to Paul Barnett talk. He'll tell you they're all using the same things. They're not using tons of orals and exotic things. They're using like test and a DHT with growth hormone and insulin. Like it isn't a bunch of exotic compounds and crazy stuff. So that's the point. Like the basics are the basics are the basics. And you can't magically like, oh, try this, I don't know, Bosu Ball single leg thing and build huge legs. No, everyone that has huge legs built their huge legs doing squats. Yeah, sure. These pro bodybuilders are now doing leg extensions and hamstring curls and hack squats and a bunch of other movements. But they built the mass in the beginning doing heavy squats, heavy deadlifts, heavy rows, heavy presses. So, anyways, that's about all I can say on it. I just felt like when I saw this post from this person talking about how they're drug-free, and they've messaged me repeatedly about the different things that they're taking, I'm like I said, I'm not going to out people, but I'm not real happy to see that in some people. And I understand why they do it, because maybe they compete in a sport that is drug tested. And again, it's like, well, it'll catch up with them eventually. Karma has a way of, it corrects things in the long term. Let's just put it that way. So that's about all I'm going to say on it. I just felt the need to put that out there so that people are aware that what you're seeing on social media is often not the reality. This is not what people eat, and this is not how they train. So that's about it. Oh, and also I'll point something out, even for myself. If you guys go back and watch my old videos, I don't do a lot of the things I did in the past. I'm always changing things. So, if you find some video from 10 years ago, yes, I have videos from 10 years ago, and you're like, are you still doing that diet? No, I'm not. I change things all the time, and just the diet I even talked about right now, in a year, I'm sure I'll be doing something different. And when I talk about my training, I'm sure that a year from now, I'll be doing something different. And I tell people all the time, you have to keep evolving, you have to keep changing things. You can't just do the same thing forever. You're just not the same person. It's like I couldn't do the things I did whenever I was in my teens. I can't do the same things I did in my 20s at all. Like I look back at my old logbooks, I'm like, I have no idea how I did that workout and recovered from it. There are workouts where I'm like, holy shit, I did like 50 sets of squats. Yeah, well, you can get away with that when you're 22. At 40, it's not going to happen. I won't walk for a week. I'll probably put myself in the emergency room with a rhabdo or some shit. So like things change over time as well. So like if you find some old video of me or whatever, I assure you that's not how I train today. And if you're watching this video, and this is a 5-year-old video, because the internet is forever, what I just talked about with my own training, I'm sure I won't be doing that at 50. So there you guys have it. Be wise. Use your common sense. Most people are just doing the basics, and they do them really consistently, and everyone that is successful is pretty much doing the same thing. I mean, I don't care if you look at Doug Furness versus Ed Cohn versus Bill Kazmaier versus Marty Gallagher versus Kurt Kowarski. They all basically did very similar training programs. Yes, they're slightly different, but even like people sitting around arguing over Cube versus Wendler 531, these are not drastically different programs. They're different, yes, but overall they have more in common than they have, dissimilar. And the same thing goes for diets. Oh, Ronnie ate chicken and potatoes, and, Jay Cutler ate chicken and rice. These are basically the same thing. It's carbs and protein. I can't get over it. So, anyways, just something for you guys to think about.